Yesterday we were discussing the covalent bond. So this is the last two questions I've discussed, and then we'll start our topic, which is the metallic one. So in this question, a molecule of ethanoic acid has the structure which is shown. Complete the dot and cross diagram to show the electron arrangement of ethanoic acid. Show outer shell electrons only. So what happens? We have to show the outer shell electrons. Each line, I told you, each line represents a pair of electrons. So means if there is a single line, it means there are two electrons. If there are two lines, it means they have four electrons between them or four shared electrons. So how we represent this? Because as you know, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon belongs to group 4, hydrogen belongs to group 1, and oxygen belongs to group 6. How many electrons they will share? So carbon will share 4 electrons, hydrogen will share 1 electron, and oxygen will share 2 electrons because all want to complete octet except hydrogen. Hydrogen will complete 2 electrons in outermost shell, or it's just 2 electrons. But remaining will always try to complete octet or 8 electrons in the outermost shell. Then how many unshared electrons will be there? So there are 4 electrons available, all four are being used, so unshared will be 0. For hydrogen, unshared will be 0. For oxygen, unshared will be 4. Because out of 6, it used 2 electrons in sharing, so unshared will be 4. Now which one will start sharing first? We'll always start the one which share the least number. So which is sharing the least number? In this example, hydrogen is sharing the least number. So we should start with hydrogen. So if I say, and you have to use different symbols. So you can mention a key here that hydrogen electrons you are representing by cross, carbon electrons you are representing by dot, and oxygen electrons you are representing by a circle. So if hydrogen share 1, because you first start with hydrogen, the one which share the least number, you always start with. So carbon will share 1 from that side. Hydrogen share 1, carbon will share 1. Hydrogen shares 1, carbon share 1, and same thing, there's another hydrogen. So if hydrogen share 1, oxygen will share 1 from that side. So this is about the sharing of electron of hydrogen. That's finished. Then the next one, oxygen, which share 2 electrons. So each oxygen will share 2 electrons. And you can see here there's a double bond, so oxygen will share 2 electrons from this side. So carbon will share 2 electrons. And from this side there's a single bond, so oxygen share 1 electron, carbon will share 1 electron from that side. But carbon does not have any unshared electron, hydrogen also no unshared electron. But there are unshared electron on each oxygen, which are 4. So you have to draw those unshared electron on oxygen. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a structure of ethanoic acid in which there is a sharing of electron. Each carbon shared 4 electron, each oxygen shared 2 electron, and each hydrogen shared 1 electron. Is it clear? Any doubt in this? Next, complete a dot and cross diagram to show the electron arrangement in a molecule of hydrogen sulfide. Show outer shell electrons only. So again, the same way, because it's a covalent, how you identify? How you can identify it's a covalent? Because hydrogen is a non-metal, sulfur is also a non-metal. Hydrogen belongs to group 1, sulfur belongs to group 6. How many electrons they will share? Hydrogen share 1, sulfur share 2 out of 6. An unshared electron, this will be 0 and this will have 4. Then the sharing should start with the least number. So hydrogen share 1 electron. So, and you have to mention the key as well, like electrons of hydrogen you're representing by cross and electrons of sulfur you're representing by dot. You have to mention this. So if hydrogen electrons you're representing by cross, hydrogen share 1, sulfur can share 1 from that side. If hydrogen share 1, sulfur will share 1 from that side. So sulfur maximum share 2, that's done, one on the right, another one on the left. And hydrogen share 1 electron, each hydrogen shares 1 electron. Then unshared electron, 4 unshared electrons, so 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the structure of hydrogen sulfide. Then if a question is hydrogen sulfide has a simple molecular structure, simple molecular or simple covalent structure having a same meaning. You can mention simple molecular structure or simple covalent structure. Why hydrogen sulfide has a low boiling point? So you will mention because there is a weak force between the molecules require small amount of energy to break the force, so low melting point. So whenever you need a small amount of energy to break the force, break the bonds or attraction within the molecule, between the molecule, and whenever a substance melting does not mean like I supply heat energy and these bonds will break. Basically, melting refers to force between the molecule. Like this is one molecule of hydrogen sulfide, then there will be another molecule of hydrogen sulfide. So the force between them, between the molecules, the force is weak. There will be attraction between the molecule, but this attraction is a weak attraction. So we need a small amount of energy to overcome this attraction. That's why simple molecular structure or simple covalent structure or compound with simple covalent structure, they have low boiling point or low melting point. Complete the diagram. Complete the dot and cross diagram to show the electron arrangement in a molecule of ethyne. Ethyne structure is given C, the triple bond C, and then both sides hydrogen is attached. So we have carbon. Carbon belongs to group 4. And hydrogen belongs to group 1. So there are 4 electrons in the outermost shell, hydrogen having 1 electron in the outermost shell. Carbon, how many it will share? It will share 4, hydrogen will share 1. Unshared, there will be unshared, no unshared electron on carbon or hydrogen. Whenever you start sharing, you always start with the one which share the least number. So hydrogen share 1, and the key example, hydrogen electron you're representing by cross and carbon electron you're representing by dot. So if hydrogen share 1, carbon will share 1 from that side. Same thing, hydrogen share 1, carbon share 1 from that side. So each carbon shared 1. So remaining out of, they can maximum share 4. each has shared one. So how many are left? Three of them are left. So they will form a triple covalent bond with each other, the two carbon atoms. And you can identify because there are three lines here. So what each line represent? Each line represent a pair of electrons. So if three lines are there, means three pair of electrons or 6 electrons will be there. Is it clear? Any doubt in this? Then the third type of bonding, the third type of a bonding is metallic bonding. So this metallic bonding, this exists within the atom of metals. So this type of bonding, metallic bonding, exists within the metal. So what happens? Example, if I say sodium, sodium is a metal. If I say lithium, which is also a metal, copper is a metal, iron is also a metal, and magnesium is also a metal, calcium is also a metal. So how these metals, what is the structure of these metals? So what is the structure of this metal? All of these metals, they have a positive ion, a lattice of the positive ion, means, example, this is one positive ion, the second, because metal generally tend to lose electrons. So if something will lose electron, what charge it will make? It will make a positive charge. So there is a regular arrangement of the positive charge. Whenever there is a regular arrangement of the particles, what we call lattice. So there is a regular arrangement. So regular pattern of positive charges, which we also call a lattice. So regular pattern of positive charges or a lattice of a positive charges. And because what happened to the electron which they lost? So electrons are free to move. Like these electrons, like if electron which is here can move anywhere within the structure. So these electrons are free to move. So what we call this movement of electron or this position of electron, we call the sea of electron or delocalized electrons. So regular pattern of positive charges or lattice of positive charges in a sea of delocalized electrons held together by strong electrostatic force known as metallic bond. So regular pattern of the positive charges or a lattice of positive charges in a sea of electron, sea of delocalized electron. Delocalized means their positions are not fixed. They can move anywhere within the structure. That's why we call delocalized electrons. So electrons can be anywhere within the structure. So these are the delocalized electrons. And the attraction between the positive charge and the electron. Like you will have a positive charge and you will have electron. So this attraction, whenever the charges are there, the force is called electrostatic force. So this attraction between the positive charge and electron, what we call this attraction? We call this attraction as metallic bond. So this is the structure for all the metals. Whenever you have a metal such as sodium, lithium, pure metals, not alloys. Alloys will have different size of positive ions. But if you have a pure metal, all the positive charges will have same size and the free electrons or electrons are free to move within the structure, and the attraction between the positive ion and the free electron is known as metallic bond. So if in exam, if a question is draw the structure of sodium, draw structure of aluminium, lithium, copper, you will always draw in this manner. And whenever you draw something, it should be labeled. So these are the positive ions and the delocalized electrons. Is it clear? The structure of the metals. Any doubt in this? Take the screenshot for. So basically what happened if a question is explain the structure of the metal. So how you explain the structure of the metal? For any metal, within the structure, the metal tend to lose electrons. So they lost their electron. So when something, like example, if this is an atom of a metal, this atom will lose electrons. So when it will lose electron, this will be a positive charge and there will be electron outside. And this happens for almost all of the atoms which are present. So as atoms are losing electrons, as they lost electrons, so all of them will have a positive charge. And the electron which is lost by these atoms will remain within the structure. It will not go outside anywhere. Like the electron which is lost by this atom 1. So this can be anywhere because it's free now to move within the structure. So it will move anywhere within the structure. Same thing happened for the second one. It can move anywhere, third one. So all these electrons are free to move within the structure. So we call them as delocalized electrons. So whenever you have any metal, it will have a regular arrangement of the positive ions and the free or the delocalized electron or sea of delocalized electrons. The attraction between the positive ion and the electron, this attraction refers to metallic bond. And metals also have a giant structure. When we use the term giant structure, it means like millions or trillions or infinite number of atoms are there within the structure. So that's why the metals also have a giant structure, like when we say macromolecules, which have infinite number of atoms. So metals also, they have many ions and electrons within the structure. I take this screenshot and then I'll move on. Then the properties of the metal with reason. So if we say metals have high melting point, so what could be the reason why the metals have high melting point? Because two things are there. The forces are stronger and there are a lot of ions within the structure, because I told you metals have infinite number of positive ions. These are the positive ions. So within the structure, I'm not drawing all of them, I'm just explaining the idea. Within the structure, there are a lot of positive ions. And a strong attraction is there between the positive ions and the electron. So the reason is because it has strong force between the particle. Positive ions and free electrons. And it has giant structure. And strong force between positive ion and free electron. So that is the reason that metals generally have high melting point. Metals can conduct electricity. So why do the metals can conduct electricity? Because they have free electron. So because this conduct electricity, the term electricity or conduction of electricity refers to movement of the charges. Because this electron can travel from one place to another. So if electron can move from one place to another, or if ions can travel from one place to another, the substance can conduct electricity. And metals are generally malleable and ductile. The term malleable, when we say malleable, it means you can hammer them into shape. Like if you have a piece of metal, if you have a metal, say this was a metal, so you can use a hammer and you can make them certain shape by hammering the metal. What we call that as malleable. The term ductile means you can stretch them and make wires. So if you have a metal, you can apply force on the metal. By applying a force on the metal, you can stretch them So if you can stretch the metal or you can compress the metal by applying a force, so it means when you're compressing it, it's malleable. When you're stretching it, it is ductile. So malleable means you can hammer them and make them in a sheet, and ductile means you can stretch them and draw them into wire. So why the metals are malleable and ductile? Because when we apply the force on these layers, so these layers can slide over each other. Like example, first I'll write the reason and then I'll explain. The layers can slide over each other without breaking. So layers can slide over each other without breaking. That's why we call metals are malleable and ductile. So if we have, say, a metal, this is a structure of a metal. Which contain positive ions. So these are the positive ions. And they have delocalized or free electrons. So when you apply the force, basically the layers can slide over each other. So if this part, this is one layer represented by a red shade, and the second layer represented by a blue shade. So when you apply force, so when you're applying a force, so the layers actually slide or pass each other, so that, and it will not break. The layer will remain same, but it will slide over. One layer can slide over another. So what you will observe, you'll observe that the size, the shape changes. The number of the positive ion remain 8. So the number of the positive ion remains same, but the layers slide over each other. This was a positive ion, and the layers did not break. Otherwise, if it break, then the metal should snap or have a crack on it. So red one is representing first layer, and the blue one is representing the second layer. So actually what happened, layers slide over each other and come and change as a one layer, or one come after the other. Is it clear? So metals generally have high melting point because they have a giant structure and strong force of attraction between the positive ion and free electron. Metal can conduct electricity because they have free electrons. And metals are malleable or ductile because they have a layer structure. So layers can slide over each other without breaking. But for graphite, graphite is also having a layer structure, but graphite is called a brittle because when the layers move, they separate from each other. But in metals, the layers are not separated, like one layer is top of the other. When we apply force, layer will slide and it will change as one layer. But in case of graphite, because I told you in graphite there's a weak force, So layers, instead of sliding over each other, layer breaks from each other. That's why graphite is a brittle material or break easily without deforming. Take the screenshot for this. We'll do some questions related to metal topic as well. Okay, this question, a structured question. Gallium is a metallic element in group 3. It has similar properties of that aluminum. So properties of gallium is similar to aluminum. Describe the structure and the bonding in metallic element. You should include a label diagram. So what is the structure of a metal and what kind of bonding, how you explain? So the answer for this question, it has a joint structure. Metals, all metals have a joint structure in which lattice of positive ion in C of electron or C of delocalized electron, you can mention both, held together by strong electrostatic force known as metallic bond. So it has a giant structure in which the lattice of the positive ion is there in a sea of electron which is held together by strong force. And what figure or you will draw, because you should include a label diagram, so you will draw a structure of the metal in which you have a positive ions. For delocalized electron, you can just shade the region. You can just simply shade this region instead of making the electron, just shade the region, which means the electrons are free to move within the structure. And then label also, like mention which one is positive ion and which one is electron. Next question is why metallic elements such as gallium are good conductor of electricity. What's the reason why the metals can conduct electricity? Why metals are good conductor of electricity?
The electrons are free to move.
Yes, the electrons are free to move within the structure. So they have free electron or electron are free to move. Free electron within the structure. Then describe the structure and bonding in magnesium. Same answer. Look, this is a fixed answer for all the metals. They have the identical structure. So you will just mention the same, that it has a giant structure in which the lattice of positive ion in a sea of electron held together by a strong force known as metallic bond. Is it clear? Then why magnesium conduct electricity when solid, and why magnesium is malleable? So the same answer is free electron within the structure. Free electron will give you 1 mark, and within the structure will give you 1 mark. And then why magnesium is malleable? So whenever it is malleable, what you will mention? You will mention that it has giant lattice of positive ions which can slide over each other layers of positive ions which can slide over each other without breaking. So without breaking, the layers can slide past each other or slide over each other. That's why the magnesium is malleable. Actually, now this question is related to, it's a combination of all three, like as we discussed, ionic, covalent, and metallic. The properties are given, and using these properties, you have to identify the substance. Number one, substance F, G, H, I, and J are there. It has low melting point. You can see here F, low boiling point. It is soluble in water, so because some of the compounds dissolve in water, even they are covalent, but does not conduct electricity in molten form or does not conduct electricity in solid state. What could be this compound? Ionic, covalent, or metallic? Because you have three options. Either it can be ionic, either it can be covalent, or it will be metallic. What could be F? Low melting and boiling point, soluble in water, does not conduct electricity in molten or in solid state. Which type of compound does not conduct electricity? So it is a simple covalent or simple molecular. You can also mention simple covalent or simple molecular. So this is simple covalent. I'm writing in short SC. What about G? It has high melting and boiling point. Once this session will end, I will share another link with you. After a 5 minutes break, I will share, means once this will end, I will take 5 minutes break and share another link with you and continue this question because we will not be able to finish in a minute. So I'll discuss the same question. It is insoluble in water, does not conduct electricity in molten, and does not conduct electricity in solid state. What could be this compound G? High melting and boiling point and other properties resemble with covalent. What could be this compound?
Giant covalent.
Which one?
It's a giant covalent structure.
Yes, it's a giant covalent. How we identify it's a giant covalent? Because high melting and boiling point shows and does not conduct electricity